Welcome everyone to another Oasis webinar. Today we're going to be talking about why you should consider NetSuite. My name is Aaron Rosenberg. I'm a partner here at Oasis and Senior Vice President of Business Development. I'm going to be joined by my partner and colleague, Michael Drury, today, who's going to be taking us through a demonstration of NetSuite. Some quick housekeeping as we get started. We want to hear from you. We want you to ask questions. You will be in listen-only mode during the broadcast, but you can use the Q&A box, we hope you do, to ask us questions. And we'll either answer those throughout if they're pressing, or at the end of the webinar, we have some time hopefully set aside to answer questions. If we don't get to your question today as well, we can always follow up later. The follow-up also will be sent to you in an email with a presentation and the recording of today's webinar in case you want to pass it along to other people in your organization. So what's in store for today? Well, briefly, I'm going to talk about why Oasis chose NetSuite, the difference between NetSuite as a true cloud solution, and what that means is other fake cloud solutions are out there calling themselves cloud, but are actually hosted, not really a SaaS application like NetSuite. We'll talk a little bit about our choice to partner with NetSuite, and specifically not with Intacct, which when we originally looked at Intacct was a standalone privately held company that has since been acquired by Sage. We had a lot of questions from our Sage customers about why we're not Intacct partners. And of course, we love Sage 100, but I still feel that NetSuite is a better solution for our customers. Michael's going to go through a NetSuite demonstration, and then again, we'll have time for Q&A after. Oasis is going to be celebrating our 29th anniversary on Friday. So we started in 1991, and we're really proud to have hundreds of customers that we support. As we look at Oasis's core competencies, we're really built to help customers analyze, select, implement, and then support their core business management software. Again, we've been doing that since 1991. We've been really fortunate to have some recent accolades for the organization. We are a 2020 winner of the Best Places to Work in Kentucky. We are a 3-time and hopefully soon will be a 4-time winner of Best Places to Work in the Louisville, Southern Indiana area. These are really important distinctions for us because we care so much about our employees, and we know that, and these are all employee-driven survey results, that happy consultants and happy team members equal happy customers. We're also really fortunate to be a Fast 50 company, which is a designation for fast growth companies within the area. We've been a Fast 50 company for 3 years running, 4 out of the last 5 years. And then we've been a top 100 value-added reseller on Bob Scott's list in the nation, which is an industry distinction that we're really proud of as well. What this means to you is just that we're prepared with the right team members and with the right expertise to help you in your evaluation and successful implementation of software. I'm going to switch tracks here a little bit and talking about relating to technology shifts in our marketplace. So business technology is shifting again, and there's been one major shift that occurred in business computing over the last century. And if you think about that, it's going from time-sharing mainframe to dumb terminals to where most of our clients live today and most of our prospects that we talk to live today. That's really in technology that was really burgeoning in state-of-the-art back in the 90s, about 30 years ago, and that's client-server-side relationships. So when you think about the major shifts last century, that was a huge computing shift, the way that people consumed their business information, were able to connect remotely to this server relationship, et cetera. But now, with the advantage of cloud and mobile computing, really driven by the mobile devices and the supercomputers that we carry around in our pockets and purses, we've seen another major shift in cloud computing, although the marketplace hasn't been as radically prepared to take on that shift. And so we're trying to align ourselves with the best product in the marketplace to help our customers take advantage of that shift as well. So I want to take it through maybe another scenario, maybe related a little bit more to our personal consumption of the way that we consume movies. So this is something that everybody may remember, the VHS And if you've been to your natural history museum, you may be able to find this in one of the displays there. There are always incremental shifts in technology, shifts maybe for bleeding edge consumers. The shift occurred and the laser disc was born. And wow, it was a big disc that you could use today to play Frisbee in the backyard. And then there are other shifts that are more radically adopted and easily accessible, and that was to the DVD. So everyone really took on this shift, and consumers radically shifted the way that they were consuming content from the VHS to the DVD. Didn't have to be kind and rewind. All the great new functions and features, better quality, audio, video, bonus scenes, etc., were now easily available. And we've seen another major shift in our consumption, and as most of us have been sheltering in place and consuming a lot of cloud technology on Netflix and Hulu and Vudu and all the other streaming services that we are now subscribing to for anytime, anywhere access. And the big shift here in the translation or analogy to the shift in technology is around how we consume these medias in the cloud and what version are we on. So if I asked you today, what version of Netflix are you on? Most people don't know. I'm sure there is a version out there in small print somewhere on the application, but the point is that you're on the same version as everybody else. And as there's disruptors in the marketplace and shifts in technology, there are always winners and there are losers. And this is one of the classic shifts of disruption in technology and video consumption, and how quickly a behemoth like Blockbuster went out of business when there was a rapid shift in technology. And that's really why we chose NetSuite as a disruptor in the marketplace, because we saw this shift happening within our customer base, within the marketplace as a whole, and people wanting to have anywhere, anytime access to the technology that they use to run their business. And for us, Oracle NetSuite was a great fit. At the time, NetSuite was publicly traded. They were very healthy, and their customer growth and the amount of employees they had just continued to explode, now servicing 45,000 plus organizations across the world, and were acquired by Oracle back at the end of 2016 for $9.3 billion, which is really just put more fuel to the fire of innovation and development that we've seen in the product. It's been a really great opportunity for us as solution provider partners, which is our relationship with NetSuite. So back in 2019, 50% of NetSuite's revenue came from solution provider partners like Oasis. And what we do is, again, try to provide the best experience possible for the consumer out there. And there's a lot of noise out in the software marketplace. And we try to cut through that noise and really focus on our mantra, which is people and process over product. So as we talked about earlier, we had several products and we chose NetSuite as our product of choice, but we focus our efforts and expertise on your people and on your process and in implementing best practices, on training your people, on how to leverage the product to make sure that at the end of the day, the software is just a tool, and you want someone and a partner should be able to provide you with the ability to help you leverage that tool and work with one team before, during, and after your implementation, and hopefully for the life of your business. We have many clients that have been with us over 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years, speaking about us being in 29 years of business. We still have our first customer that relies on us for support. So it's a great testament to Oasis's value as a trusted advisor to our customers. Talked a little bit about Oracle's purchase of NetSuite for $9.3 billion in 2016. Looking at really the first cloud ERP, so going back to that Netflix analogy, NetSuite has only been available in the cloud, and which means through your internet browser, on your mobile device, on your tablet, on your laptop, anywhere that you can get to the internet in the world, you can get to your instance of NetSuite, and you're going to be on the same version of NetSuite as all other 45,000 plus organizations leveraging it. Now your instance, the instance that you log into, is going to have your own modules, user-defined roles, permissions, settings, etc., that we help clients set up and configure and maintain, but you're on the same version of the application. Whereas a hosted environment, you might be on one version, 2015, somebody might be on 2017.2, et cetera. That's not how NetSuite works. And so all that R&D and innovation is pushed out in updates and upgrades to the application, with 2 major upgrades every year. So as you're subscribing to the application, you're actually getting all of the benefits of those releases, as opposed to paying maintenance for something that you have the opportunity to upgrade in the future. And there's a lot of big logos here, and a lot of cross-industry logos that customers will recognize. And then we also are really proud and fortunate to have a lot of more local logos across different industries, segments, large and small businesses that depend on Oasis to help them with their NetSuite application. Of course, security, reliability, a huge concern for us as we chose the right partner to represent in the cloud, and also, of course, for our customers. And what we look at in reliability is that average uptime. So NetSuite's going to guarantee a 99.5% uptime for all of their customers across their service level agreement. We are actually seeing more of a 99.99, and our customers are experiencing that percentage of uptime across this past year. This snapshot was taken from April to March. This is actually a publicly available website that anybody can go to right now. It's netsuite.uptime.com, I believe, or if you Google that, it'll come up pretty rapidly. And you can see over that time period, over 302 billion application requests across all of the major data centers. So some really fantastic numbers there, and the uptime percentage based on that. So you've got customers like we saw on the last slide, like Groupon, doing hundreds of thousands or 1 million transactions a day on a Cyber Monday. And NetSuite's a reliable application to help make that possible. It's also secure in that you can take PCI compliancy off the list of things to worry about, disaster recovery off the list of things to worry about, cryptocurrency, all those things that sometimes happen to customers that have their own server relationship. If you're public or intending to go public, SOX compliancy, ISO certified, all the major certifications that someone would expect in today's type of application and getting out of their investment. The other great thing about the platform is that it allows so much opportunity for development and for innovation. So there's a lot of different logos popping up here. Some of you may be familiar with some of these, like Avalara for sales and tax automation, sales tax and use tax automation. DocuSign, which we use, a lot of our customers use to help automate the electronic capture of signatures on documents that they use with their customers and vendors, expense management, et cetera. So what NetSuite provides, because it is a true cloud solution with an open API architecture, is the ability to have all of these different functionalities built into the platform. Now, NetSuite's a very robust platform, as well as we'll see in the demonstration, but there are a ton of innovators out there that are really taking that platform and making it even more robust for our customers. So last thing before we get into the demo, just wanted to go through a couple of key segments and differentiations on Oracle versus Intacct. So talked a little bit about the breadth and depth of the customer base within NetSuite. So when we were partnering with NetSuite and evaluating Intacct, and again, Sage recently acquired Intacct, and of course we have a great relationship with Sage. We have a lot of Sage 100 customers. These reasons are why we chose NetSuite and continue to stand by that decision. So Intacct really was evaluated as primarily a point solution for accounting. Not really a lot of investment into functionality like inventory, warehouse management, CRM, project tracking, manufacturing that many of our customers today need, and a lot of the prospects that we want to work with in the future will need as well. When we look at and define our customer base, we're really looking at the customers that are getting too big for QuickBooks, but are too small for SAP, or even for Oracle's bigger solutions that are their more classic applications like JD Edwards, et cetera. Oracle NetSuite had that one database and one record from lead and tracking and CRM activity through inventory mechanisms, manufacturing, e-commerce, all the way to receivables And Intacct was a relatively and comparatively immature product that at the time in 2012 when we became a NetSuite partner, they were also, NetSuite was already publicly traded, so there's a lot of safety in those numbers, well over 10, 20,000 customers, and now 45,000 plus customers. And Intacct really has yet to garner that 10,000 logo. So the size and breadth and depth of the customer base was another thing that really attracted us to NetSuite. When we look at some of the enhancements in NetSuite, being a Suite Success certified partner, and what that means to our customers is, when we originally started with NetSuite, we demo, and what you're going to see today, all these really cool dashboards, key performance indicators, and things that are available right out of the box in the application suite. And with a product like NetSuite previously, you had to build a lot of that stuff from scratch, kind of get a blank canvas, which is what happens with Intacct as well. But now with NetSuite Suite Success methodology and the product SKU that we're putting into all of our new customer implementations, you get all that stuff out of the box with industry-leading best practices as well. So it's really been an easier implementation to replicate what we're demonstrating for the customer. Kind of more on a key difference and hindrance in the way that Intacct's architecture is set up is the product's subledger module relies on batch processing still, and it's in a different database, which hinders the visibility and can really complicate reporting and real-time visibility that NetSuite offers. So it's a big deal, and oftentimes that is something that's only realized by a client after they're in the middle or at the end of their implementation. They're going through reporting training, and it's just way too late to turn back. So they sometimes even have to rely on additional reporting tools outside the system. Global growth, the ability to grow without limits, has been a standpoint of NetSuite since its inception, certainly since we've been a partner. Intacct really isn't built for big growth customers that want to go global, that want to sell goods and services online in a growing global economy, that want those industry best practices. And they end up hitting a brick wall with a product like Intacct. And that's really some of the key differentiators if I was going to break them down into a couple bullet points here. There's more, and we can absolutely talk more about that as well, but that's some of the key reasons why. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to turn this presentation demonstration over to Michael, who's going to take us through the NetSuite demo.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Hopefully everybody is able to see my screen at this point.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, perfect. So there are 4 key items that I want to review with you today as you're evaluating new ERP applications. So I'm going to go through that as part of the demonstration as well. Okay. First of all, NetSuite is fully functioning complete solution that will scale to the growth of your company, no matter your industry or business. Okay, so some of the things that Aaron was saying there for you guys. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Whether you're a service organization or manufacturer, NetSuite provides the necessary functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Move my here. So we just go to netsuite.com, put in your email address, your password, logs you right into the application. I've got a lot of tabs up at the top already, so that just kind of speed up the process here of going through this demonstration, so I can talk through some of those. But once you are logged in, you'll land on your dashboard, and at your dashboard we'll see information that is specific to you as a user. You only have access or have visibility to that information you have permissions to, which is based off your role in the organization. So the first thing that we want to consider here and talk through is the data analytics. NetSuite provides over 200 standard reports. All are accessible through the web browser. So at the user's dashboard, which you see here right now, it is very dynamic. and it updates as transactions are entered. It also can be personalized to show the data and KPIs that are important for your role. So some of the things that you'll see here on the left, I've got some reminders. These are tasks that you need to complete. Hey, you've got some bills you need to pay. We have bills we need to approve. By clicking on these links will take us directly to those tasks so we can pay our bills quickly, print the checks and get those out the door. So the reminders are very key to making sure you're on top of your tasks and your daily activities. As I scroll down, you'll see some additional information here. You have some key performance indicators. These are very important, especially in times like today, where you're able to quickly glance and see your important indicators as far as like bank balance, receivables, see where you are right now. You can click on the little green icon there for a pop-up graph, so you can see how your daily receivables are. Again, as transactions are entered, these values will be updated automatically for you. No need to run a report to be able to see all of this. If you want to see the underlying data, such as like what we have here for the receivables, you can click on that link, which I've already done here. And then you can get to the actual AR aging. So from here then, look at all of your customers, your aging. We also have the ability then to drill down into the detail of each one of these balances that you have. So you can see the detail of what was actually purchased, what invoices that you have, what are outstanding, and again, get down to the actual detail to the transaction. It comes up here. So you can see this is kind of status of the open invoice. It's created from the sales order, what was actually purchased. So just with a couple of clicks from the dashboard, you're able to get down to the actual transactional detail. As we scroll down through the dashboard, kind of talk a little bit more here. You can see that we've got on the left side shortcuts. These can be shortcuts to specific reports, transactions, other as far as accepting customer payments. So just depending on what you want as your shortcut list to be able to see. We've got some financials overview, so you can see kind of in summary an income statement, certain data elements standing out, the percentages here as well. You still will be able to access as far as the little trend graphs that you want. It's giving you the data as far as comparing, here's what we had today, this week, this month, and last quarter. It's very important to be able to see that data visually rather than actually having to run a report. Some of the other things that you can see here I've added on my dashboard is a list of my invoices. So I can kind of go through and see what invoices I've got out here as of last month. Scroll through this list, look at all the different invoices that we have. There's some that are standing out that are of a certain dollar amount. So you kind of scroll through that. Other graphs that we have, top 5 items that were sold. If I want to look at this, maybe in a pie or donut chart, we'll be able to see that. I want to remove one of the items just so I can see the others a little bit. And as you kind of hover over each one of the different pieces, we'll tell you what the percentages are there. And just standard portlets onto a dashboard. Some other things we have is top customers. You can see another KPI meter, seeing our profit this year versus last year. Wanted to look at any just our sales, we'll be able to kind of quickly change that. That's what I mean by dynamic. As we're going through here, working on clicking on some of these different portlets, being able to see different information quickly. Nice little monthly sales trend. Got a little dip here, but we're right back up again. NetSuite also manages your task, any of the tasks, whether you're a sales rep or someone that does accounts payable, being able to manage all the task lists that you have and when they're due. And just a couple more things here just to see. There's a listing of some of the vendors, some of the customers, projects we may have, and also another trend graph looking at your payables. There's a lot of different things that we can add to the dashboard, and just being able to see all of that without having to run reports just by logging in. Okay. Okay, so moving ahead here. So some of the other things that we want to talk through here is understanding that NetSuite does support multiple subsidiaries or multi-companies. So within one instance, one application, we can manage all of our companies, whether they're in the same industry or the same business model or not. But NetSuite will allow us to be able to provide consolidating reports as we're needing to as well. Okay. And then as far as having multiple locations, departments, or classes, I think everybody's least favorite location today is going to be the quarantine. Okay, that's me trying to be funny. But the purpose of locations are also to manage inventory. And then as we continue on here, what I want to show you here is as we're looking at some of the data analytics here for the reports. This is just a standard income statement. It's not too exciting, but to understand how NetSuite works with the multiple subsidiaries is that we can provide a consolidated report for all of our entities. If there's any other roll-ups that we may have, or depending on the company hierarchy, we'll be able to get consolidated, as well as each individual company as far as their own individual financials. If I come over here to my column and change this to show my columns and subsidiaries, and just do a refresh, it updates the report so that now I see in my columns is going to be the different subsidiaries that I have data for during this time period. So being able to see each company side by side. We can also change our column and look at this in a different way. Maybe we want to look at it by our locations and be able to get comparative reports that way. So whether we're using departments, classes, other different elements for classifications, we'll be able to get quickly be able to get those type of reports. Another data analytics piece with NetSuite is there are workbooks. So a workbook in NetSuite will allow you to filter through your data, show the information you want, and then be able to, in this case, I'm looking at my invoices for a given date range, and then be able to produce a chart that you'll be able to see the graph. So in my example here, I've limited it to just a couple of the customers that I have here and put in a date range for the invoices. What we can then do is add this to our dashboard. So I personalize this and then add an analytics portlet. Go to my setup. And then find my chart from my workbook, and then be able to add this directly onto my dashboard. So within the last year, NetSuite has added this new functionality where we can basically create our own custom charts. Okay. So next, as a complete solution, NetSuite is considered the #1 cloud-based ERP application. One of the things that makes NetSuite unique is that it performs all transactions quickly and accurately, all in a single database, which means managing life cycle of your customers, vendors, financials, manufacturing, and inventory-related processes. As part of the one of the industries that NetSuite supports are distributors that buy and sell items, in addition to manufacturers who purchase raw materials to produce those finished products. There are service companies that manage projects and time. Also nonprofits that support their mission and their constituents. So I'm going to go through a little bit of an example here as a manufacturer of the speaker. So right here on the screen, I have a speaker assembly item. And as I scroll down, we'll see some of the information about the actual manufacturing process for this, for the bill of materials here. So at the bottom are our components. Whenever we are to produce it, we are going to create these create purchase orders automatically for our components. It's an option whether to do a purchase order or from what we have in stock. Okay. And then also, if there's any manufacturing routings that may be involved to produce this the steps necessary to create a speaker. As far as our inventory, we can take a quick peek at what we do have on hand at each one of our different locations. And then we also can set up different pricing levels for our customers. In addition to being multi-company, NetSuite does provide multi-currency. So as if you do business in other countries, other currencies, it is a native functionality of NetSuite. As part of the manufacturing process, we use work orders to create and manage our production. Here's an example of a work order that we've created for our speaker. We're going to create or build 10 of these. Hopefully we can do this today. And as we scroll down, we'll see we do have our components, the quantity that is required for each one of those to build 10 items. And on top of this, I've had it where it would automatically create the purchase order for us. So that's our next step. So looking at a purchase order. So creating purchase orders, in this case, we're just kind of waiting for the inventory to come in. It pulls in the default rates and information that you have for the items as far as your default vendor. Also from here, we can have an approval process for a purchase order. Now that takes us to the next key item that I wanted to talk through, and that's the platform. NetSuite provides functionality to allow for the approval process that meets your requirements. Many of our clients have some level of a PO or approval, either by a threshold or even multi-level approvals. Here's an example of what a workflow could look like as far as going through the steps. So every transaction will go through the necessary steps, get routed through the organization as needed to get to the point where it's approved and finalized. If it's not approved, it can be rejected, but then being rerouted to go through again. This is kind of an example of this. Most of our clients have some level of PO approval, again, whether they're doing it by certain dollar amounts or having different levels based upon departments or your role or your supervisors. Integration is also an important feature of NetSuite. Aaron mentioned earlier about the open API that NetSuite has, and that's an application programming interface. So you can leverage NetSuite to seamlessly connect to other applications. So using some plugins and other parts of NetSuite, being able to pull in data, again, from other applications. Some of our customers have their own billing software, and they integrate that real time into NetSuite. So invoices, as they're created in their billing system, are automatically brought over into NetSuite. Other companies have e-commerce like Shopify, and have two-way data flow. As orders are placed in Shopify, they're brought into NetSuite. At the fulfillment level, then the orders are sent back into Shopify to process from there as well. You can also leverage NetSuite to create custom fields. So we do see a lot of our clients adding custom fields, whether it's to transactions or even to some of their customers or vendors. So if there's anything additional that they do need to track, a common one we have for tracking for vendors is going to be whether or not you have the W-9 on file. Okay. So speaking of customers, NetSuite has a single database. Aaron mentioned earlier, allows for companies to manage the life cycle of a customer using the CRM functionality. So from a lead, as you see here is a listing of all of our leads, to a prospect, to a customer, you can manage your sales force, and that is really key to an organization. Sales reps can keep track of all of their leads, the status of their leads, where they are on, all the communication, everything that they have there, as well as opportunities. So when a lead is entered, we enter in an opportunity of what we may actually be able to sell to them, your different status of your opportunities, your probability, as far as for this to actually close, what you're actually selling, another iPad, but also being able to keep track of all of the communication that you've had with the customer or your lead, as well as any of your sales-related activities, being able to track all of those and marking them complete once you've completed those tasks. So it allows for the sales reps to be more organized and to be able to keep track of every one of their opportunities, their leads, to get to the finish line to make them the next customer. The CRM also allows you to manage your marketing efforts, whether through marketing campaigns. Additionally, you can support your customers through cases. So just to take a step back about the marketing campaigns, NetSuite will, as you set up the marketing campaigns and these activities, emails can be generated to send out to your prospect or customer list for whatever that marketing campaign may be. When we're talking through about the support cases for customers, being able to manage any issues that your customers may call in and being able to track this to a resolution. You can also set up different escalations and being able to just really track when they do call in. For companies that have that sell inventory, sell items to customers, it's a good way to watch as customers call in if there's defects or problems with your merchandise that you're selling. Okay. So those are the key things I wanted to go through, and as far as throughout this demonstration. There are several other things that I can just talk through here, and that's just e-commerce is native functionality or capability there with NetSuite. So if you do have a web store, you can use the e-commerce to work with NetSuite. NetSuite also has project accounting, job costing, to manage a variety of type of jobs that you may have or projects that you want to track, whether it's time and material, fixed fee contracts that you may have, being able to track all of your projects. NetSuite also has Suite People, which is their human capital management, to basically manage all of your HR functionalities. Fixed assets is also part of NetSuite, where everybody loves managing their fixed assets and depreciating them on a monthly basis. NetSuite also has access to what we call a customer center. So your customers are able to log in and view their all of their invoices, make a payment, and also receive statements from there. You also have a mobile device that you're able to, if you're out in the field, look up customer information, place orders, and use that mobile device for that. We've also have done a webinar on the extension of the platform with additional third-party applications that handle expense management, payroll, AP automation, period end close, credit card processing, and sales tax automation. So those are the key things that I wanted to get through here through this discussion and this demonstration. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Aaron, and then we'll open up for some Q&A. And if you're talking, Aaron, unmute yourself.
Great, thanks, Michael. Can you see the slide presentation?
Yes, sir.
Great. All right, so now we want to open it up for questions, and we've got a couple of questions here. One was about the CRM. So, Michael, you talked a little bit about the CRM and showed some of the customer interaction. And yes, NetSuite does have a fully functional and very robust client relationship management tool, not only for tracking customer activities, but all of the Salesforce automation tools that Michael spoke to. So how to track leads that come in through your website, or that your sales reps input, tracking those leads at different types of conventions and places where you're collecting business cards. Hopefully we'll get back to doing that sooner rather than later. That's something that, or importing lists that you may purchase. We help customers across the board with those types of lead entry opportunities and creating those contacts, tracking activities on those leads. So sales meetings, phone calls, webinars, presentations, proposals through those different sales stages, and helping, again, to consult customers on really thinking about what are the key stages and processes that need to be kept up with during a typical sales cycle. They may have multiple lines of business too. So some of those sales cycles might look different for a e-commerce customer as they do to a big box retailer or through a distribution network. And so really understanding and using our expertise of helping hundreds and hundreds of customers leverage these applications to track those data points so that you can get the reporting that you need and that your sales managers need to run quality one-to-ones with the sales reps to understand how they can be successful in providing all of that Salesforce automation to when they become a customer. Then lastly, on the other side of that CRM functionality is the marketing side, the marketing automation, which NetSuite has out of the box as well, with automated campaigns, notifications that are sent to customers and different people within the organization to help just keep up to date and keep in touch with those customers and prospects that you're trying to nurture. Another thing that's really great about that functionality that our customers appreciate is just the ability to have all that information in one database so that you really get that life cycle of the customer. So there are, of course, a lot of different CRM tools out there as well. Michael went through some of the customization of integration, and we have customers that use tools like Salesforce, et cetera, but that's another key differentiator between NetSuite and other products like Intacct, for example, which would rely solely on a connector that Salesforce provides into Intacct. So then you're having to manage two separate subscriptions, two separate software subscriptions and vendors, as well as to maintain and update all of the data flow between the CRM applications and NetSuite, where you can, out of one subscription, get all that functionality with a product like NetSuite. Another question came up about the workflow. So we showed a approval workflow there, which is great. And there are so many different workflows that can occur for our customers. For example, with the purchase workflow, but also with that marketing automation that I talked about. So when do you want to send communication to customers, the frequency? Are they just going to customers? Is it going to customers and prospects? Who's the audience that's going to receive those? What's the frequency that you want to drip and nurture on those folks as well? So that workflow engine, again, is it's not necessary to know programming or custom code. You can use that workflow engine with the drag and drop functionality. So that's really a great feature for our customers that don't have a lot of IT programming talent in their business, and something that NetSuite provides without having to have that type of person invested in. And you can also, of course, use Oasis to do that as well. Okay, so we've got a couple of other questions here. Can NetSuite integrate with Kronos payroll software? Yeah, it absolutely can. We have a variety of customers that use a variety of different types of payroll software, including Kronos. NetSuite also does have HR and payroll functionality within the application. So some of our customers are utilizing that. The other question was around AP and AR software. So yes, it can integrate with other AP and AR software. And Michael mentioned you have a variety of customers that use different billing software, and we're integrating that connection in to those databases. Some of them are a simple import-export. Well, it's simple in NetSuite because of the power of that import engine. But there's different types of integration capabilities, and that's where, at Oasis, being a strong partner with our customers, we'll look at and uncover those requirements, understand how frequent that integration needs to come over, who needs the visibility there, and implement best practices, and also what the investment and resources it looks like for that frequency to come over. It does have bank rec capability as well. Some of the new functionality coming out in 20.1, which is just being released now, is actually bank integration. So instead of having to import over bank balances, directly connecting with banking accounts, which is going to be a really great, again, just a real-time visibility access using that API architecture to get into other bank accounts. And I have another question about how difficult it is to switch from a current financial system to NetSuite. And then, the short and unpopular answer to that is it depends. So we really need to go through our process and help a customer evaluate and put together the correct project plan to get over from one current financial system to the next. I'd say typically what we're seeing is the ability to convert from a core financial accounting, GL, APAR, light inventory system into NetSuite within 60 to 90 days. It's about as fast as we can run. Now, sometimes the clients can't run that fast, so that can be something that we would also consider a really important and critical part to any successful implementation. But at the end of the day as well, with a subscription-based software program like NetSuite, once you start the process with us and you purchase the application, within a couple of days, a customer is going to get a welcome to NetSuite email. And so they're going to want to start to get going. And that's what we want to run, again, as fast as we can to help the customer, fit the data into the system, go through our testing and training procedures in order to effectively convert them from, a home-based accounting system like QuickBooks or Peachtree, or even like Intacct, over to NetSuite as quickly as possible, so that they can start to get value out of that purchase. And then really being methodical and intentional on being able to look at those next 30 days, those next 60 days, those next 90 days. So another thing We had a question on here was on like warehouse management, I think is what the person's asking about, scanning inventory and processes relating to scanning and using those RF scanners and handguns for both receiving and for shipping. And that's typically something where we will put that into a phased approach for a customer. Going back to the question about how quickly can you be live on NetSuite? Well, you know, if you're already using scanning in your warehouse, you're using it for your supply chain, your logistics portions of your organization, most companies don't want to go back to not having that ability. So that can elongate that approach if it's necessary to have those types of tools in place. But knowing that you have those tools and you can have that with, again, one native application, not integrated with a separate application, not something that, you know, somebody's just stuck their name onto and then purchased that application, is a really important piece to why we chose and continue to stand by the choice of NetSuite for our customers. So I'm looking to see if we've gotten all of the questions answered here. And it looks like we have to this point. Again, if you're a little shy and want to ask questions after the presentation, this is my contact information. We'll send out the presentation materials to everybody that registered today, as well as the recording. So feel free to pass it along to your leadership team and have anyone reach out to me directly at Oasis to help. Love to help anybody that's evaluating NetSuite as an application for their business, because we really stand by our choice and think that it's a great product for the marketplace, and we really want to help customers leverage the technology that's available today. And so I hope that you enjoyed today's webinar and that you'll reach out and that we can do business with you or continue to do business with you. And we want to partner with as many organizations as we can help. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Michael, for the demonstration. Everybody have a great afternoon and rest of your week. Stay healthy. And thanks again for participating.